and welcome to AiArthritis Voices 360. This is the official talk show for the International Foundation for Autoimmune and Autoinflammatory Arthritis, or AiArthritis for short. My name is Leila, and I am your host today. I'm a person living with lupus and Sjogren's disease, and I am the Health Education Manager here at AiArthritis. I have a special guest with me today, the CEO and co-founder of IMIDeology, virtual and in-person clinic specialized in diagnosing and treating patients with immune-mediated inflammatory diseases such as spondyloarthritis, lupus, and Crohn's, and their team of rheumatologists, gastroenterologists, pain management doctors, and health coaches work closely together to deliver the right diagnosis to the right patient with the right treatment plan. And we want to give a warm welcome to Dr. Jin Lee. And please tell everybody a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for the intro, Leila. So my name is Jin. I started off with a PhD in neuropsychology at University of Oxford in England. I have done work in health insurance. So Humana, fourth largest health insurance company, Providence and Joseph Health, which is the third largest. I believe they're a little bit lower now. Top 10, let's say, national nonprofit hospital system. And they're headquartered in Seattle. They manage have hospitals and outpatient care clinics in, I believe, 6 states now. And then I've also done work in innovation and venture side for Astellas Pharma, and they're the top 3 pharma in Japan. So I've done significant amount of work in payer provider pharma. I tell people that because of it, I know a little bit about why our U.S. healthcare is a little not there in terms of outcomes, especially for patients with autoinflammatory conditions.
Absolutely. And today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the virtual rheumatology side and kind of how you started your clinic, as well as a little bit about chronic pain. And so today our episode is going to be a step 2 in our 6-step decision-making process, which basically means we're bringing a new topic to the table. We've never talked about virtual rheumatology clinics on our talk show. So I think that'll be really awesome because we talk about how convenient and important remote and virtual environments have been for chronic illness patients like AiArthritis patients and people who have immune-mediated diseases. They overlap. They're kind of like very similar categories. But yeah, so this is going to be one of the first times we talk a little bit more about chronic pain studies and things like that as well. So I'm super excited to dive in. But I want to know a little bit more about why you started IMIDeology and kind of what led you to that decision.
Yeah, I started this because of my own husband. It took him 12 different specialists and 8 years to figure out what has been going on with his pain. And this is the time where I was still working. It started out when I was still working at the hospital system. I was 3 levels below the CEO. So I knew who's who. And yet it took him 8 years. We saw multiple primary care doctors. We saw multiple pneumatologists. We saw multiple chiropractor, acupuncturists. It started out with a simple back pain. Then it got so bad that he couldn't walk up the stairs. He had difficulty getting off bed, and sometimes not even able to turn his head. So unfortunately, I was the one who thought it was ankylosing spondylitis before any of his doctors did. And I was the one who urged him to go see a pneumatologist after he'd been seeing a lot of primary care and allied physicians. And there were multiple discussions from 3 different pneumatologists on what specific condition it was. And then finally, we were so blessed to see a Dr. Philip Meese in Seattle, who's now also one of our lead pneumatologists at IMIDeology, who finally diagnosed him with ankylosing spondylitis, which is a autoinflammatory arthritis condition that impacts the spine. And eventually, the prognosis is the spine will become fused into what's called bamboo spine. So it gets very dangerous if it's not taken care of already.
Absolutely. And so he does have ankylosing spondylitis, the one that shows up on x-rays.
That's
Uh,
right. And part of the
wow,
why
that's crazy that they didn't have, see that a lot earlier.
yeah, part of the reason why they couldn't diagnose him earlier because on average it takes about 4 years to see
Mhm.
any change in the spine in the MRI or X-ray. So he went through 8 years to finally get a diagnosis to finally say, "Oh my God, I think there is sclerosis in one part of his spine." Um, and then in combination with his treatment response to a biologic that he was on, that's when the diagnosis becomes more clear.
Wow, that's crazy. I think one of the biggest things at AI Arthritis that we're focused on right now is our mystery patient guide and our project that's helping to expedite diagnosis and detection and treatment for patients. And so I would love to even maybe get your opinion or your husband's opinion on our mystery patient guide. So any input that you guys have on of any other tips that we can give to those that are looking for a diagnosis, and of course, maybe even funneling them to you once if they are able to in the state or in the places that you're able to practice for immunology. But why don't you talk a little bit more about how the actual getting started with immunology? How long ago did you guys open, and how did you fuse your personal experience with your professional experience in the healthcare system to kind of create this hybrid system?
Right. Yeah, thanks for the prompt. As you can imagine, because it took my husband so long to get diagnosed, I was a little, um, let's just say, not happy with the entire system. So I figured there's a better way. And through his experience, right, because we saw so many different specialties, I saw and experienced the importance of a multidisciplinary care clinic. And I think that is one of the key to really get that diagnosis early because every single profession they are experts in their own little domain and unfortunately for AI, autoinflammatory conditions, which you focus on, and same in our clinic, they span multiple specialties. We know for a fact, for example, if you have ankylosing spondylitis, you have about 20 to 40% higher chance of getting another issue in GI, which is Crohn's and colitis, or dermatology, which is psoriasis or
Mhm.
psoriatic arthritis, right? That this is biology. This is why it really prompt us to create this virtual clinic and also in-person clinics that combines pneumatology, GI, pain, because 100% of my patients are on some type of pain or flare at some course of their journey. And then on top of that, we also saw the importance of allied professionals. So now we have registered dietitians, we have certified holistic personal trainer, we also have a mental health psychologist, all there to help provide that holistic care for our patients. And as we saw from COVID, right? It's not enough. It's not good enough to have your neighborhood doctor. We also need to make it a lot more accessible, which is why we start with virtual first for our patients. And then if they need to go in for endoscopy, for a knee injection, and whatnot, we also have that option in New York State. So particularly in New York, we have 3 pneumatology and 5 GI clinics that within our network that we can send our patients to. And we also accept 20 different insurance in New York State. So making it super convenient and easy for patients to see one of our specialists and also get that holistic care that's so important.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think the biggest thing for patients is that sometimes coordinating between your doctors and all of the specialists and insurance and everything like that. It's a full-time job having to wait on
Yes.
the phone. And I'm like, how does anybody with a regular 9 to 5 job be able to contact any of the people that you need to? You have to like take a few hours off just to make some phone calls. And so having everybody be under the same umbrella, under the same system really makes a big difference. And knowing for sure that they collaborate with each other. Because, there's hospital systems like Kaiser or like, with our My Charts and things like that, where they're supposed to be able to contact each other and have all of the different files and everything transfer over. But there's still so many issues that come about that you have to, navigate through.
Absolutely, and even within Kaiser, they're on different instance of EMR and in Epic, which means one instance doesn't talk to another, and so we also tech enable our clinic, and what that means is for our patients, we send our patients a wearable so they could track how they sleep, how many steps, what's their blood pressure is like. All that data gets sent to the doctor. We also have access to health coaching. So patients can talk to a coach to really talk about those lifestyle changes that could really impact your diagnosis or your flares even, or let's face it, just the maintenance of getting by day to day, especially when you're under a flare. So it starts not only with really good experts, but it's also with a good process, data integration, and having that holistic care team to be your quarterback so that if anything happens from minor flares to severe issues, um, we got your back. Like you can call us, we can see you in person, we have your data, and we have the specialists for you.
Absolutely. And so just reiterating, so with the virtual and in-person options right now, IMIDeology is only available in New York State, correct?
Yeah, so in New York State, we are accepting 20 different insurance. So if any nearby states patients want to come to New York, we could see you and there in person. But for virtual, we also uh, if our doctors actually are licensed in multiple states. So depending what specialty you need, we might be able to see you. And then lastly, for our wearable and also access to, we're actually launching a chatbot as well. So to making it super easy for patients to log symptoms. That's not like 1980s, but with AI enables that you can talk to and so forth, that anyone can access anywhere. And that will be coming out this fall.
Oh, that's amazing. So we'll definitely keep an eye out for that and help to promote that once it does come out because that can be very helpful for a lot of patients. We see a lot of patients that are in rural areas, and telehealth coverage over the past few years has dissipated because of everything after COVID. Those are all special allowances for things to happen, and it's just so unfortunate that we hear still nowadays that patients have to drive 1, 2, 5, 10 hours to see their rheumatologist every single time that they have an issue or just a regular checkup. And so I really do hope to see this model kind of duplicated in different areas and hopefully be able to help those in those really big remote states kind of in the middle of the country that don't have as many specialists as we do. Both Jen and I actually live in the Bay Area, so we have a, a a plethora of access to all these different doctors and specialists. It's hard for us sometimes to conceptualize and think, in the Midwest, in Wyoming or Montana, that, there isn't a city right next door to be able to go see 10 different doctors and things like that. So I really do hope to see, you're not the first clinic that we've heard of, but you are one of the first ones that have been around like for multidisciplinary specifically. I think we there's some integrative doctors that have gone like the private concierge route that I've heard of. Like here in San Francisco, I got when I was looking for a new doctor, I reached out to one, and they're like, yeah, we have completely open, we're here to talk to you. You can text us at any time, but with a $4,000
Yeah.
annual fee, right? And I'm like, who the heck can afford a $4,000
I
annual
know.
fee?
I
So I'm
know.
just like, I hope that overall our system gets better, so to be able to help patients. But if not, helping to find some workarounds like this with virtual clinics, to be more common and more accessible throughout the country.
Yeah, and we really think, with the help of AI and tech, and we could really have that concierge service for our patients who don't have to pay that concierge rate, right? So that's why, based on our patients' requests, we decide to build that chatbot that's we're launching in this fall, where anyone can track your symptoms. The AI will tell you, give you insights, and then will guide you like a AI coach on like minor lifestyle changes. For example, we all know sleep, nutrition, exercise are super critical for patients in this domain. So that way, you almost have like a mini buddy, or better yet, health coach that's vetted in your pocket, and that is connected with a credible clinic. So in case if there's any emergencies, our doctors are able to come in and help too.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be really cool over the next 5 years to see how AI shapes our healthcare system. Like I've already had my doctors using AI scribing
Yes.
to help them take their notes and all of that, and that's really helpful for me because I get to see my aftercare summary, and it has all of the things that we talked about, which was never really the case. Like if doctors are charting themselves, it's very shorthand, very minimal, and sometimes they even just copy and paste like the same template for every doctor. And so and because if AI is coached by credible, like you said, clinics and doctors who know what they're talking about, and you're able to kind of build and prompt that AI, it can become so smart and be able to help, like you said, identify symptoms and at the very least give the doctor an accurate report of kind of what's going on with that patient, so that doctors can sift through the symptoms and all of that a little bit faster and get to see patients a little bit faster as well. So
Yeah, I think you touch upon, one important aspect, which is, we only see our patients once every 3 months, 6 months, or maybe once a year, right? Depending how severe the inflammation is. But patients live with the disease 24/7. So having a very easy and accessible way to log your symptoms, track, and a tool where it could give you insights in return, it's really helpful not only for the patients but also for the doctors, right? To see how have you really been, in in the past X months. We all know when we go to the clinic, your doctor usually asks you like, "What's your pain level from scale 1 to 10 in the past 7 days?" Well, do you really like remember what's your pain level a week ago, or better yet, a month ago? These are the things I think is super important to log, and that way it's a very objective record of what happened, and not only for pain but also for like nutrition, right? Sleep data, all those are correlated, how your disease are progressing, and indicators of biomarkers for your particular medical journey.
absolutely. And, we always encourage patients, like, data is the biggest thing to be able to help you with your disease journey. And whether that's pictures of your rashes with timestamps so that you know when that happened, or symptom logging, just like you said, your pain level per day, your mood, your sleep, data. data is what's so important, not only to get a diagnosis or, originally when that first happens, but continuing to track your progress in your disease, how your medication is working, all of that kind of stuff. And I think that is kind of a good segue leading into our next topic, talking about pain and the pain study that you all are um, hosting at IMIDeology, and how the data is tracked and how you're able to use that to be able to help the patients with their pain. So if you want to talk a little bit about that, I know that pain is one of the most common and most frustrating symptoms that patients deal with these diseases deal with. And so how is IMIDeology kind of approaching the pain aspect of everything?
Yeah, so it start with a multidisciplinary care. So we basically try to install our sort of clinical knowledge into something that's more accessible to our patients. So that's why we're doing a pilot right now. If any listeners out there who want to join this pilot, we're still recruiting. It's for people age 18 and up. If you have any of these autoinflammatory conditions, such as pneumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, lupus, colitis, Crohn's, please go to immunology.com and send us a note. For the pilot, it's 3 months. We give you a wearable that will be shipped to your door. The whole pilot it's remote. We give you access to once a month peer support groups. You also have biweekly calls with a health coach to really digest the data that's for you. So the health coach will go through your sleep data, your steps, what's your mood been like, and give you tips on things that you can do to improve. So these tips could be as small as doing a 5-minute gratitude journal or go out, walk around the park for 10 minutes. So really easy 5 to 10 minute actionable items that anyone can do within their household, to see does all of that lifestyle change, and access to a coach helps with decreasing inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein and also ESR, and there in turn does that decrease pain in patients with autoinflammatory conditions. So we've been rolling for a couple months now, and the initial data do indicate that patients um, think it's super easy to track data as well as do these daily interventions. So our engagement rate is actually pretty high. And then we're still waiting for blood biomarker data to see what's the correlation between lifestyle and biomarkers there to prove that pain is not just subjective. We can actually see
Absolutely.
it in the biomarkers. So that's coming out soon as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think like for me with losing weight and exercising as well as really paying attention to my mental health, like for the past year I've been in consistent therapy, biweekly therapy. My CRP, ESR and my compliments are all normal. And it had never been like that my whole time having lupus. And so I really do think that people underestimate um the power of helping with your mental health and with your diet and exercise, like how much it really can change the outcomes of your AI arthritis or IMID disease.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's well researched. So my PhD is in psychology. I absolutely believe the connection between mind body.
Hmm.
Uh, and for something like IBD, especially, most people didn't realize a majority of serotonin, which is neurotransmitters of how we feel, is in the gut. So when people say my gut feeling is XYZ, it's real. Well, that's because your neurotransmitters to your brain starts from the gut, not the other way around. Obviously, it's bilateral. So so therefore, your mood really impacts. Same thing with stress management, your sleep, your supportive network, right? Like what your social connections are like. And funny enough, you mentioned lupus. There's also a lot of studies on correlation between dental care and lupus.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
so so a lot of this is lifestyle, like you say. It's things within our control that we can do and help our loved ones do to feel better. Because when I'm a caregiver, so when my husband feels better, my whole family feels better.
Yeah,
Right? It's
absolutely.
not just one person's disease. It's the whole family. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that that's really important, and I think the biggest thing is you never know until you try. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that people, if we're already in pain, it feels so counterintuitive sometimes to get up and move your body. And I think if you really just try, and if you conceptualize, okay, moving my body means I'm moving the inflammation out of the joints and moving it around, and thinking of it that way, it really helps to be like, okay, this is helping my body. Even though I may be sore the next day, it's a different kind of pain. It's a rewarding kind of pain compared to the aching and soreness of pain, like when you're at rest. I think that's the kind of way that I like to describe it is, and on top of that, like you said, with the neurotransmitters, the the activity helps with happiness and all of your happy hormones as well too. So lifestyle changes are super important for us to take into consideration when talking about treatment plans in general. And like I said, with pain, it is very frustrating, and there's a lot of patients that, if you have RA and you, like your husband, it took 8 to 10 years to get diagnosed. You do probably have those nodules and other parts of your joints that were deteriorating. So there is actual general mechanical pain that's going on because of the joints, not just because of the inflammation as well. So being able to properly describe your pain is super important, so that your doctor can know a little bit more about what's going on. And so I took a look at some information from the NIH that had some really interesting questions and like description words for pain. And so I kind of wanted to just kind of read this to the audience and tell them a little bit about it. So, um, like some information when you're tracking your pain, that's helpful to include for doctors is how long you've had your pain, where specifically you feel the pain, whether your pain is in one spot or it spreads out and changes, how the pain feels and how severe it is, whether it's constant or comes and goes. Does activity make it worse or improve it? How does your pain limit what you do? And how often pain occurs, or anything that you've noticed that triggers the pain. So these are some prompt questions to think of before you go into the doctor, right? I think that's the thing too, is that as patients, sometimes we forget that we should prepare before we go into the doctor's office as well. So asking yourself those questions maybe the night before and writing the answers to them down can be very helpful, to be able to make sure that you give the doctor all of the information that you want to, so that they can make an educated decision on how to proceed forward on helping your pain. And the next thing is, like we said, keeping a diary or record of your pain, whether that's on an app, on an actual notebook, or through a wearable. There's a lot of ways to be able to help track those things. And sometimes people have a hard time describing their pain. So here's some description words that you can use when describing your pain: aching, cramping, gnawing, heaviness, hot or burning, sharp, shooting pain, sickening, like you're in so much pain that it makes you nauseous, spitting pain, stabbing, tender, like your muscles are just tender, or your joints are tender, or throbbing. So those are some really good description words that can help your doctor, understand what may be going on. And yeah, I just wanted to double check also with the study that you all have going on. Is it available to everybody in the States?
Oh yes, it's nationwide. So
Nationwide.
anyone who's above 18, please give us a shout. We're trying to figure out, really map the correlation between lifestyle and pain. Please help science to help others.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll definitely have all of the links in the show notes for you all to check out and be able to see if this study is something that you're interested in.
Mhm.
And another reason why Jin is here is because AI Arthritis is actually partnering with IMIDeology for their first inaugural autoimmune patient summit. It's going to be happening here in a few months. So we're super excited about it and wanted to see if you can tell the audience a little bit more about what's going on in September.
Yeah, so because we see many patients in autoinflammatory conditions who has multiple of these conditions in one person, unfortunately. Um, Sometimes they feel really lonely, and that's part of um, one of the reason why we started out with pairing with health coaches in person and also doing this AI coaching bot now. But we have gone a step further, which is to create 1.5 day in-person autoimmune patient summit at Mercy University in Dobbs Ferry, New York, which is about an hour north of Grand Central. Um, Station in New York City. Um, we are having multiple different type of doctors speaking to patients. So that includes GI, pneumatologists, mental health specialists. We also have various patient advocates. So Leila is actually going to be a speaker. Um, um, to be there to really teach others what their journey's been like and share advice. That's more importantly. And then lastly, we are partnering this summit with major nonprofits in this space, such as Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, AI Arthritis, Arthritis Foundation, Lupus Foundation, and so forth. So this summit is really, think of it as a educational retreat. On top of the educations, we're also trying to making it fun. So we are inviting patients to self-nominate or nominate others for patient awards in Best Athlete, Best Advocate. These nominations are open right now. So please do go to our immunology.com slash summit webpage to submit your nomination. And then secondly, we're also doing a patient uh, talent show. So we know that you are more than your diseases or your symptoms. Many of the patients have other talents, such as Lida. I believe you're going to sing for us. So we also going to have dancers. We have somebody who's running a fashion show. It's going to be a night of really fun and appreciation. To what's really like to be an autoimmune patient. Um, and then lastly, we're also giving out a lot of raffles as our way to fundraise for all of these nonprofits who's partnering with us in holding up this summit. So please do come. The rates goes up on July 1st. So please do register, tell other people about it. And it's going to be 1.5 day, July 13th to 14th, over the weekend. Really fun, educational, and an empowerment event for everyone who's going through autoimmune.
Yes, that is super exciting. I've actually never been to New York, so this is going to be a really cool time. I'm actually going to bring my husband with me too, so we can,
Great.
take a few days and hang out in New York after. So this is a really cool way to get all the different patients together and unite all of the different patient organizations as well that are helping to sponsor and put together and advertise the autoimmune summit. And I know that you mentioned the that it'll be educational and about empowerment. So I know that there's going to be different panels and different workshops that patients can attend and kind of learn more about their diseases and about pain and inflammation and things like that as well. So not only will it be educational, but it'll be fun and a lot of networking and getting to know patients as well. So yeah, super excited. We'll again set up the link in the description for you to be able to sign up if you're gonna if you're accessible to the New York area in that middle of September. It'll be a really fun event for all of us to see each other in person and get together and have that interaction that sometimes autoimmune patients we don't get too much of every because we're always worried about getting sick. So there's that. Um, but yeah, so this has been a really great conversation for us, and thank you, Jen, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Okay.
you for having me. Yeah, so I think this, just to wrap up on the summit topic, we're announcing the launch of chatbot there. We're gonna disclose what the study results been like for the pain study by changing lifestyle interventions. And then lastly, we're actually also writing a book, a handbook for autoimmune patients. So I've been there with my husband where when he first got diagnosed, we were all at loss and worried, anxious. We're trying to make this handbook super easy to read so that every patient who's newly diagnosed or have been diagnosed for years and looking for new information, this will be a great way to learn about the latest drug development, these lifestyle interventions that you can do at home. We're going to include many real interviews and life experiences. So do watch out for the book launch as well at the summit. And so it's going to be really educational, fun, and then coupled with these important announcements that you'll see later on this fall.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for all the information and for really being an advocate and someone to help push forward the autoimmune space. Sometimes it gets really hard to have people invested in the rheumatology space. And so it's really great to see people come in and wanting to help patients to the level that you are. So I commend you and all of your staff on an amazing clinic that you guys have going and events and getting involved in the community. Being connected with the patient organizations is something that I see that needs to happen a lot more when it comes to rheumatology offices and all of the other specialty offices. There's a disconnect there where the education isn't being given to patients. So, having such a close relationship with patient organizations really can help patients to feel comfortable with, moving over to those patient organizations and getting to know their community so that they can have an even bigger community of support to be able to get through the day to day of these unfortunate diseases that we all live with.
Yeah, and thank you for everything you guys are doing. It truly do take a village, because unfortunately it is a chronic illness. I tell folks, right, like even with these biologics and lifestyle changes, it's a new identity for patients. It's a new way of living that we have to cope day in day out. But I think with a village and supportive groups like you and our doctors, we can hopefully make a difference and help some patients to make it easier to get by.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up, if you want to go ahead and let everybody know where they can find IMIDeology on social media and be able to follow and your website.
Yeah, so or just at immunology.com. That's IMIDeology.com. And then from there, please go to our bottom of our page, follow our TikTok, our Instagram. We're pretty active there. As mentioned, we're also launching few important things. So book the chatbot this fall, as well as sign up for our summit before the rates increase this July. So thank you so much for having me, Lila.
Of course. And on the AI arthritis side, look out for our Go With Us to Conferences program. And we are going to EULAR June 11th to 14th, and it is in Barcelona, Spain. So I and three other members of our team will be heading out to Spain very soon. So go to aiarthritis.org/conferences to come with us to the conference. When you go with us to conferences, there's two different levels. We have the regular level where you get an email every day of the conference that has debrief videos of the different sessions that we go to, as well as text summaries of those videos for you to get the bullet points of the hot topics that we are covering during those videos. Or you have access to an elevated experience, which is this year is a WhatsApp group chat where you can live ask us any questions that you may have about the sessions that we're going to, or about the different people that we're meeting, and get kind of more behind the scenes of what's going on during those conferences. So every year we go to ACR in November and EULAR in June, or actually ACR is in October this year. But this is one of our biggest programs that a lot of people say that they learn a lot during, because we are talking about the breaking research that's coming out twice a year. So even if you don't have time to be in the elevated experience, if you want to leisurely watch these videos in the future, please sign up. This year we're going to be also partnering with different patient organizations that are European based and Latin America based, for them to be able to help us give some insight on these sessions in different languages as well. So that'll be awesome. And anything else before I wrap it up with our outro?
Well, it's gonna see you in ACR. So I'll
Yes.
see two of us together there.
Yeah, absolutely. So at AI Arthritis, we don't just represent the patient voice, we are the patient voice. And with your support, we can amplify it even further. If you found value in this talk show, consider making a donation to help us continue producing impactful conversations, bringing all stakeholders to the table to discuss patient identified issues and patient infused solutions. Visit aiarthritis.org/donate to help us make a difference together. And thank you again for tuning in to this episode of AI Arthritis Voices 360. Please, you can find AI Arthritis on all major social media platforms at IFAI Arthritis. And that's a wrap. We'll see you here next month for the next episode of AI Arthritis Voices 360. Thank you.
Thank you.